There we go. Hello, my lovelies. Hello, darlings. Hello, 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 and good evening. Daniella here, as always, and it is my day 7 of my 28 30-day February video challenge. And tonight I'm coming to you with an answer to a question that I get fairly often nowadays, and pretty much throughout my entire life. And this is something that some of you may relate to. And this is why I wanted to share this with you this evening as part of my challenge. Not only because it is a question that kind of comes up a fair amount, I want to say, but also because there are so many of you out there that probably can relate. And if you are indeed anything like me, you've gone through your life so far thinking that you're the only one that's experiencing life maybe the way that you're experiencing it, or that you're the only one going through what you're going through. And so I wanted to share this little bit with you to encourage you, those of you out there that may find a bit of your story in my story, to let you know that you're not alone, and that there may in fact be somebody out there that can understand you, and that that is an amazing feeling, just to know that you're not going through this experience by yourself. So, to start off the story, the many faces of Daniella. The many faces of Daniella. This has been something that has definitely been a theme throughout most of my life. And if you're anything like me, you did not realize through most of your life, probably up until very recently, that you're an empath. And if that's not a term that you're familiar with, for those of you who are new to the group or new to the ideas, some of these ideas are still new. If you're new to the term empath or being empathic, basically that just means that somehow, whenever, oh, there we go, getting a message, that you have some feeling or otherwise a knowing of how other people and beings are feeling. Now, that can range through a lot of different ways. That can come up a lot of different ways. It can show itself a lot of different ways. And it could be one of any of these ways, or all of the above. So basically that means that you could walk into a room and instantly kind of get a gauge on the vibe of the room. Like, you can instantly kind of gauge what's going on in the room. That is a sign of being empathic. If you can, what's a good one? If your pet is communicating with you, if they're barking or meowing or chirping, and you have a feeling or some otherwise a knowing of exactly what they're asking you for. Whether that's attention, whether they're just trying to communicate that they love you, whether they actually want to be fed or let out, that you actually have some knowing, that you can feel it somewhere, that you know what they're asking for. What's another good one? Basically, when you can walk into a room and know when your spouse is upset by something. They didn't have to say a word to you or your kid. They didn't have to say a word to you, or your sister or your best friend, or people that you're very close to. They don't even have to say a word. And somehow you know. That's being empathic. That's being an empath. So if you're anything like me, you've gone through most of your entire life not realizing that this is something that is happening through you and to you and because of you and from you and all interacting with you. And so what happens as we go through life as empaths is that we start to absorb all of the feelings and vibrations of the people around us that we are closest to and that we are around all of the time. And we actually start to absorb those into our being more so than some other people who aren't empathic. That's not where their talent lies. They may not be affected in this way. So like Frank, never affected in this way. He's not like that. He's got his own set of gifts, right? So I'm the feeling one of the two of us, right, in that sense. So a lot of the thoughts, or mostly the feelings, the impressions, the vibrations of your parents, of your grandparents, of the people that raised you, of the people that taught you, or that had the most impact on your life, that imprinted on you, or me, imprinted on me. And so you start taking those characteristics and those personality traits that have been imprinted on you as what is success and what is this and what is that, much like everyone else does. But empaths, we get imprinted a little bit heavier than most everybody else. So you go through life and you start basically accumulating personality traits, accumulating masks of different people that you can be, so that you can seamlessly walk between groups, and not ruffle any feathers. You're basically usually the mediator or the moderator, and you've basically gone through life like this, collecting personality traits so that you can essentially chameleon your way through life. And ultimately this ends up being a great thing. It can turn from a defense tactic into a great thing once you realize what's going on, because then you can take that power that you have of being able to vibe with any group that you walk into, because you can feel what the vibe of the room is and you can go, oh, okay, and put yourself there. Because you can do that, that can be a great strength. But for so many of us, we don't understand, for so many of us, we don't understand what's going on, that we almost end up seeming like multiple personality or schizophrenic, or, we're going all over the place. Very spacey, very heady, all of these things. So you may recognize yourself in this. But basically, the many faces of Daniella comes from an amalgamation of going through life, not realizing what was happening, and basically taking on all of these different personality traits, all these different masks and abilities, and what is the word I'm trying to say? Not preferences, but you understand what I'm trying to say here. So if you take that, in addition to, which maybe this is you, and in a very intense, almost insatiable interest in particular cultures or historical time periods. The people that go and they do the Civil War reenactment bunch, they're part of that kind of thing, where you have such an intense interest in a particular time period or a culture that you basically want to try and immerse yourself in it as much as you possibly can. So imagine that you're somebody that is not only empathic and has taken on so many personality traits as they've gone through life, to be able to as easily as possible chameleon their way through life and cruise through life, in addition to this intense burning desire to immerse themselves and investigate physically, recreate particular cultures and time periods. That's me. That may be you too. So when you see me wandering around in my caftans, and you see me wandering around maybe in a sari, or in a kimono, or in an aviator jacket, or in any number of things, or I've done my makeup up a particular way, or the influences with the belly dance and all of these things that I'm into, basically that is what has happened. And you may find yourself in a similar situation, where you've gone through life and you've taken on all of these different personality traits and all of these different interests. And now you're coming to a place in life where spiritually it's time to, what is the word I'm looking for here? It's time to bring all of those things together. I was looking for a different word, but that's okay. It's time to bring all of those things together and to start accepting all of those different parts of yourself. So yes, am I silly, and do I love doing silly childish things like growing chia pets and having Tamagotchis or whatever, and occasionally playing video games or dyeing my hair funny colors or whatever? Absolutely. When it's time to come down to business, am I going to mess around? Absolutely not. There are different parts of my personality, and they are distinct, but they are all part of me, because they are all part of the different experiences and the different vibrations and different personality traits and interests that I have picked up over my life, and now at this juncture have been able to start more or less, I would say, consolidating. Consolidating is not quite the right word. But you may find yourself in a position now where you're realizing that you do have all of these interests and that it is okay to embrace them. And that may make you a little weird to some people that haven't had their time yet where they've let themselves know that it's okay to start embracing different and unusual parts of themselves, or what other people would consider different and unusual. Remember last night's talk that we have, and if you didn't catch that, go back and grab it. That was a good one. Are you living for your priorities or someone else's? And this is, again, a great example of that, where I have started to be able to come to terms with all of the different aspects of myself, which some of it loves opera and some of it loves death metal. Go figure! But that doesn't make me bad. That doesn't make me wrong. So by being able to embrace both of those aspects of myself at different times when it's appropriate, that makes me a much more happy, much more fulfilled, joyful person who actually loves living life, because I can express all of those different aspects of myself when it is appropriate, as opposed to using the gift of being an empath to coast my way through life like I had been doing, just because, number one, I didn't know there was any other way. That's half the battle right there. Whoop, there you go. There's half the battle right there, is knowing now that there is another way. But ultimately, that's what it's all about, is the process of me embracing all of these different aspects of myself that, probably much like you've gathered up over the course of your life. And instead of tamping down certain things that may, rub some people the wrong way, some of those things are my strengths. So I'm going to embrace them for me. Because you're not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. And that's okay too. So, the many faces of Daniella, explained. And I'm sure this will come up again and again. But ultimately, it's about all of those experiences that you gather up over your lifetime, those different personality traits, those different actions, those different priorities, and interests, and coming to a place where you can go through the muck and the mire of all of your inner stuff and go, okay, this is something I want to keep, and this is something that I did in the past, but it doesn't serve me anymore because it's actually a defense technique, so on and so on and so on. But I can keep how I got it. I can keep that ability. It's all about it. So it's a constant process. And if you are digging through the mire of yourself and you're looking for a light through the swamp, I would love to help you with that. I would love to be that light. I would love to do some digging, because this is what we're doing. This is what I'm doing. And it's what I love helping people do every day. So if that's something that you are interested in, if any of this is resonating with you and you feel like that I might be somebody that might be able to help you with whatever you are going through, then give me a shout out. Let's get you on my calendar, and I would love to have a chat with you. All right, my lovelies, this is Daniella on day 7 of my 30-day, 28-day February video challenge, sharing with you the many faces of Daniella, where that comes from, and hopefully some of you got a little bit of inspiration and realized that you are not the only one that may be experiencing life the way you are, and we are all here for you. I love you all. Have a fabulous evening.